Welcome back, everybody. Before we get into KOI versus Astralis, I wanted to take a quick look at the current state of the league and set the stakes for this game. Importantly, SK is watching with bated breath. I'll get to that in a moment because KOI are facing off against Astralis. And if I highlight KOI, you'll notice that they have a 50% scenarios where they lock in top 8. If they win, they are in. The exact same is true for Astralis. If Astralis win this game, they lock in the group stage. Now, the reason I mentioned SK Gaming just a moment ago is because whichever team ends up losing, if Fnatic take down SK, they will not lock in top 8, but they will guarantee at least a tiebreaker scenario. And in our rule set, any tiebreakers for 8th place means a tiebreaker game is played. So with that guaranteed spot in the groups on the line, here for KOI versus Astralis, let's over to the Analyst to break down the teams.
Let's do it. Let's break down the teams. Thank you very much, Trevor. Basically, whoever wins this game is locked into the group stage, and then the loser plays up against SK, assuming they lose to Fnatic later on today. If SK win that game, though, SK will lock, and the loser of this game will be knocked out. Important also to mention, if Astralis lose this game and don't make it into the group stage, they can't make it to season finals. They don't have enough points across the course of the rest of the year to make it into our Worlds qualifying season finals. So let's talk a little bit about these teams to start off. Both these teams have relatively strong early games, but then it all kind of collapses around them.
I think the statement for KOI can be more true than the statement at times can be for Astralis. Astralis, to me, is definitely one of the teams that can be a bit hit or miss. We have seen games where they completely just snowball it and take it from start to finish. Not necessarily in a very clean fashion. It's always a bit scrappy with Astralis, but still, we've also seen them have to come back in some of these more skirmish-heavy compositions where we have the Yasuos and Gragas and it comes down to a team fight. But KOI, for sure, one of the stronger ones, but tend to drop the ball a bit.
I think that both teams, I mean, it's fascinating how they've kind of both been consistent in some elements and wildly inconsistent in others.
Oh, yeah.
I think that the player skill is quite evident, or it continues to be strong. But I feel like that for KOI, some of the dramatic change that we have seen is their bot lane doesn't feel like the same threat that it used to be. The fact that Comp and Trimby was a bot lane that everyone highly regarded as a hyper-aggressive 2 versus 2 that was very consistent at finding leads throughout their own lane. And the true is often said for both mid and top. Of course, with the replacement of VoD for Szygenda, there were debates around, do you still have that kind of 3-pronged, strong lane approach? But right now, it feels like Larssen is the... I mean, Szygenda, of course, has had some very good games overall. Sure. But really, Larssen is the only shining light. Is everything around the team is kind of in a weird situation. Malrang feels like he's sometimes playing with his team, sometimes he's not. And I think the same can be said for Astralis, where we get such wildly inconsistent, partly because of their drafting, but also just in terms of their execution. It's a very difficult game to predict how it's going to go. I'd love to be able to say that KOI are coming in as very clear favorites into this matchup, and they are a team that typically ramps up, but what, they finished 7th place? No. Like, this has been where they actually spend their time in the regular seasons. Long gone are the days of regular season kings. So for me, it's a very difficult one to predict as to what these teams will actually show us on the day.
And Astralis actually did very well in spring regular season. If I remember correctly, I think they got 2nd behind BDS. Oh, yeah.
They had a resurgence.
Exactly, but here they have seemed to struggle a little bit. And I think especially their loss to XL yesterday when they were in a winning position is something that can come back to bite them. The question is, can they recover for today after this disappointing result?
I mean, it would kind of be on brand for Astralis, wouldn't it? It's kind of like up and down, going through the regular season. And, you know, yesterday, brought a composition where a lot of it came down to some of the execution as well. Having a Pyke as well always makes the engage a bit harder because it's very based on your skill shots and he's not the best in the current meta right now. But also playing up against the champions you were playing up against yesterday, Melio, Aphelios, you just saw in the clip right now how difficult it actually was, even when Finn got a Dream Flank. And even when Leader was as ahead as he was in the early game against the Tristana, they just couldn't stick and continue to keep the snowball going.
So then, if we're looking at specifically this game, what would you guys identify as the key points the teams need to hit to win? Vedi, I know you said KOI was perhaps your favorite coming into the match.
Yeah, but a lot of that's based more on history.
Sure.
Just because when I look at the players on that roster, I feel like that it should be a stronger team.
Sure.
But I feel
same was true for Vitality, and we know.
Right, exactly. That's my point. You know, you look at the names on the roster and you sit there and think this is very good. And credit to Larssen, I will say that I still rate him very highly in terms of his performance so far, the split overall. But a part of me wants to say that the mid lane matchup is super important, but I also think that when I think back to the highlights and the strengths of these teams when they've really been at their strongest, it's actually when their bot lanes have been enabled. I remember Astralis, we rated Kobbe as one of the best performing AD carries in the league last split. We have not really seen that level this split so far. And the same, I think, can be said for the bot lane of KOI. We mentioned it earlier, but at the same time, I don't think we've seen that same level of synergy that Comp and Trimby used to have. And I feel like that when your backs are against the wall, when you need to win, it's those bot lanes that I have my eyes on the most to see who can actually step up and have the most impact on that team.
And you know, I would normally agree with all those points, but I'm kind of in a position right now where I just feel like laning phase will happen, and even though if some team gets a lead, it might not end up mattering. I think when it comes down to some of the objective setups, especially in the mid to late game, that's specifically where both teams have struggled. I think if KOI continue to have lackluster vision set up around the Drake when they started up, even if they had that good bot lane and mid lane in the beginning that allows them to stack up objective, if you don't mark your opponents when you're playing against Astralis, they will bring out a wacky composition where they'll just throw everything at your face. And if you do not know where it's coming from, you will definitely struggle. But I think the same thing can be said for Astralis, because a lot of their victories hasn't necessarily always come from that early game, but more actually finding that room to punish.
I feel like Astralis are very strong when it comes to skirmishing, and especially messy team fights later on. You talk about like the Yasuo-Gragas combination they used to beat Vitality. You see often Leader Unleashed when it's a few pockets of fighting rather than one big 5v5. And KOI, on the other hand, have always, well, historically been very good at 5v5 fights. Allow Comp something that he can carry on, and we'll see if they can do that again today. But Mick, Guldborg, you look like you have another point before we hand over to the casters.
You can hand it over to the casters.
You sure?
Already.
I was going to say, I think a fun game we could play is how many how many Dragon plus Baron flips do you think we're going to see?
4.
You're going 4?
Wait, what do you mean by Dragon plus Baron flip?
As in, like, they go to the objective and
the other person gets it.
No, well, not even that they get it. It's just that no time was set up in the setup. The fight itself is messy.
Just like,
okay, so no vision setup. Just go for it.
It's just let's start Dragon, guys.
Yeah.
How many are you going for?
Okay, well we need to have stakes on the bet. Loser has to do the next segment with a tens machine at 30.
No. Let's
I think it's good. I'm going 3. Vedi, give me a number. Give me a number, Vedi. Give me a number.
Wow, Quickshot. No, it's not Quickshot.
Give me a number.
It's
Give me a number,
Drakos
Vedi.
and Ender. Look at that.
Which one of us is the Quickshot in this relationship?
I think that would be me. Which means that it's my job to talk about stakes, but you heard the devs talk about stakes. So I'll just say I really loved hearing Vedi commit to 4 as a solid number of 50-50s that would happen in this game. And if he's wrong, he will put the tens machine on.
He'll be electrocuted.
And be electrocuted for the entire next segment. Thank you, Vedi.
For the enjoyment of all of us, yes.
Good job, Vedi. Shout out to Vedi.
Thank you, Vedi.
Tasing himself for content. Locked it in. The crowd has agreed. So there it is.
I love content creators these days. You know? This is what we do.
Do anything for clout.
Anything for clout. That is the Vedius way. But this match
is actually very serious.
Yeah, it's anything to lock in, right? And really anything is winning here to lock.
Yeah, doing one thing to lock in.
Yeah.
You can do anything to get there, but the end result needs to be
Larssen,
the
as much as you might want to like get hooked up to the tens machine, that won't lock you in. You gotta win this game.
Astralis versus KOI. Spot on the line. Let's see who takes it. And here we are. Picks and bans. I don't think one side is going to get all of the best champions in the meta for free this time.
I don't know. I thought that was kind of fun last game.
For one side, yes. The BDS fans most certainly was fun.
I will say, I would be surprised if KOI even got the Aphelios. Comp has been a big Aphelios enthusiast as of late.
Certainly has.
When it comes to like actually playing the scaling game, playing for those late game team fights, especially because Advienne is almost always on a range support next to it. I feel like that's where I might be looking if I was Astralis.
Could be the case. Xayah already banned away. This has kind of just become a meta staple ban as people have figured out more and more how impactful it is domestically here in Europe. Maokai as well. So the who's who of European power picks, even if not overall meta power picks, have been taken away.
We got a ton still. We got Azir, Aphelios, Milio, just everything.
Do they double ban? And this is the thing about Astralis. They hate this meta so much, they're just forced to ban everything.
For a moment, I forgot that they just ban all of these champions all the time.
Literally forever. They do not want to play these range supports on the bottom side of the map. And I understand why. They ruin 90% of aggressive play on the bottom side.
Yeah, nice thing for KOI too is I don't think they feel super pressured to lock in the Azir early. Not that that's not something a leader can go ahead and lock in. We have seen that from him. But the priority on that pick, I just think is just always going to be reduced a little bit in an Astralis draft. And there you have it.
Aphelios locked in for Kobbe. Again, we've gotten used to seeing him on his Xayah. I think that's one of the best picks for him in the way that Astralis like to play the game, but he is still a fantastic Aphelios. See what he can get done on him. Aggressive solo lane options here. Damn the bot lane, say KOI. They've got the Neeko, the top side all sorted out alongside the Renekton. Neeko can still go other places, I always have to say, but I feel like it's 99.9% going into the mid lane for Larssen, and Astralis willing to sacrifice their solo lanes.
Yeah, I do think Neeko also just works really well into a lot of the aggro champs that leader could potentially lock in, just because you have like both the ult, the W, the E, just great disengage. The Q is just insane wave clear as well, so you're just really chilling in the majority of laning phases on that Neeko. Oftentimes it's the Neeko that actually has a little bit more aggressive all-in threat. TPing around with the transforming into minions and then ulting in your face.
Certainly, and also the setup from Neeko is just so infuriating, especially if leader does want to go towards a melee champion. The ability to root through the minion line is very frustrating. Vi has more than enough early game damage to follow that up as well.
I do think too that when we're looking at team fights from Neeko, because that's where I feel like the Neekos have been very hit or miss, whether it's with the transforms or not actually being able to like reach backlines, having some kind of dive next to it, whether it's a Renekton or a Vi going in, and then Neeko doesn't have to be the first person into the fight. She can sort of follow up on CC that's already going to be there with the E, with the ultimate. That's where you can just guarantee really high influence from the Neeko in virtually every single team fight. So no matter what, Kobbe is going to be under a lot of pressure, because when we've seen Kobbe do really well against the Neekos, it's like, the Xayah that just works super, super well.
Yeah.
Even if you get rooted up, you can still pop the R.
And again, the thing that concerns me now, well, this would be interesting. We'll see how much they want to spice it up.
Those two
here.
picks would concern me.
Nautilus, Viego generally want to go forward. So I'm hoping that Astralis round out their composition with something that can help protect Kobbe on the backside of the map. Because one of the compositions that we see consistently fail in Europe is Aphelios with no other champions in the backline to protect him. But Azir obviously provides a lot of peel, can provide it for himself, as well as for the Aphelios. And wow! It's been so long since I've seen Sivir that I forgot that's what her new splash art looks like.
Yeah. I mean, she's just bossing it right there. Absolutely love it. But now you have just the R button to sort of get the Vi, the Neeko, literally everything in there if you want. This would certainly be a throwback classic of Finn's that I do think can do decently well into the Renekton. But yeah, it's just going to be the Cassante coming on through here for that one. So all things considered, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of digging what KOI have here. The Sivir is something we really haven't seen, but I like as an answer to sort of follow up some of the damage with the ricochets and just sort of enable the engage too from Malrang.
Yeah, I was going to say, movement speed steroid for the Neeko, for all of these champions except for the Lulu, really is fantastic. And also getting the Lulu Sivir makes me pretty optimistic about how this early lane phase is going to go for the side of KOI, despite the range deficit between the two champions.
Tons of push. So
interesting from KOI, showing us a bit of a new flavor here. Set up for a more early game power. Hopefully they can transition it well. You heard on the desk, that's where a lot of these games have gone wrong for both Astralis and KOI. No matter how good the game starts, they seem to fumble in the mid game. This is a game, your last chance. Can't afford to fumble it here. Will they be able to find it?
I will say for Astralis, it's really important to be the first ones on objectives. I think it's a little bit easier to play around your backline in those situations, the Azir wall and everything like that. So Astralis and KOI both coming into the final game here. Winner will lock themselves into group. Everything on the line for these two teams here to guarantee themselves a spot in the next stage of competition.
Big, big stakes. Let's get into game. KOI versus Astralis. Here we are, entering the game, and again, high stakes. You saw
high stakes in a bloodbath. I'll raise you, Drakos.
Level 1. They're going forward, hooking onto Szygenda. Decent damage to start things off. The trade back, though.
Wait, Malrang's just not with the team. So, yeah, KOI did not want to fight that whatsoever. Malrang was walking up topside to put a ward down on the enemy Raptor camp. Potentially look to reset, swap over, but yeah, Malrang will try to use that to get some early info on 113. I'm curious what he does with it, because he still has info on these guys.
Walk away. Decent info. The vision still plays down by the side of Astralis. Of course, if you're curious about the Sivir pick from Comp, well-timed observers, as we highlight him there, he's 11-5 on the pick all time.
Okay, that's pretty good.
4 pentakills on the champion.
Whoa.
So if you're skeptical about Sivir in the meta, fair. But if you shouldn't be skeptical about it in the hands of Comp. He's done work on this pick.
And his jungler already has a 1 CS advantage.
And you know what? That's a lead. That counts. They are in the advantage state.
Yeah, a little bit of XP as well. Not too meaningful in the jungle, but in mid lane perhaps. All things considered, I mean, with 113 being spotted out, I mean, both junglers are going to know roughly, even if the Wolves aren't guaranteed clearing that out. It's a pretty safe bet, as I'm not sure how favorable that trade is going to be for JeongHoon.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult.
You're just always going to take so much damage on the opposite side of it.
Yeah, no Aftershock Glacial too, so you take a lot of poke back in the trade. And the thing is, if Kobbe is the one that they trade on, he has a lot of sustain between the Severum, the Red Gun in the early game, as well as the Fleet Footwork, so you can mitigate some of that, but the Nautilus going to be forced to burn through those pots pretty quickly as Larssen just continues to get aggressive.
It's a really good trade from Larssen. He's also going Corrupting Potion, so he gets that little bit of extra damage, has the better sustain in the lane as well. So he's going to be able to continue that prio for quite some time, I would imagine. Actually looked like with the soldiers still up and Larssen using the initial cooldowns on Leader, actually using all of his cooldowns on Leader, he's not getting any damage onto the minion waves. That's why Leader's able to fight back here, even though he's down considerably in HP.
Yeah, Neeko just a frustrating champion to trade against, especially for Azir, who is, you know, semi-auto attack reliant, even if it is via the soldiers. Just when she goes invisible, she gets perfect positioning, and you don't really get to respond.
Oh, 113 is very aware of this gank timing coming in. Leader trying to play down into him.
They're waiting. Ooh, the stun whiffing. Malrang still posturing like they want to do something here. Yeah, well played by 113 to cover for the gank, but not getting anything back has got to be frustrating.
But 113 having red buff here and a little bit of mid prio does mean he could theoretically fight, except that Leader has absolutely no more mana left and that HP lost will mean he has to go back. If Leader was able to base and TP maybe, but
Hook comes out, but it does not stop. JeongHoon there. Looks like the timing's sick on that spell shield there, so Comp still gets the spell shield out, still gets the health back since the change there, but
113 desperately wants to fight with red buff here before Malrang can get his.
Walking in, 700 health, 113
gets
walks
it.
up, takes it away. Advienne coming in over the wall, but with JeongHoon and Kobbe on the way, there's nothing left. So again, small advantages being traded back and forth here. Both sides getting aggressive, contesting the vision, contesting these early lanes.
113 just playing this early game really, really well. Obviously, both junglers knew what the other was trying to do off of the first clear, but 113 knowing he has red buff, seeing Malrang look for that gank opportunity, sort of reading that one, even without the vision of it, is now able to take 2 camps away off of that. He'll get this bot side scuttle crab and just secure the push for Kobbe and JeongHoon continually.
Yeah. Leader losing out on a lot of these trades here, but fighting with that life bar just to sustain any kind of pressure here in the mid lane.
But it's really a losing trade for Leader, though, because, again, it's Corrupting Potion start to now just a refillable pot on the TPs back into lane. Like, these extended fights are not going to be working super well for him. Larssen has used all 3 of his pots now, but that's, what, a 300 HP advantage over Leader, so Leader wants to base again, but can't really, because there's a big wave coming into his tower, so he's just going to have to fully cede control over mid for this wave and a half. And that'll buy Larssen a very easy reset, and Larssen will be back in the lane, just continue that prio if he wants it.
Yeah, maybe this starts to shift back, obviously with more levels, maybe a Lost Chapter under his belt. Keep an eye on that as aggressive maneuver here from the side of Astralis, forcing out the flash from Advienne alongside the heal, a potential avenue of attack for 113 if he can show some presence on the bottom side. Finish Szygenda trading blow for blow. And I will say on the top side of the map, I think these are 2 of the guys who, you know, have been the most consistent for their teams across the season. I think, well, ultimately, it's not always about them. Like, Finn has been showing so much presence, and Szygenda has had a large number of games where he's just taken over topside with some very impressive solo kills. Don't think they'll be the center of attention again in this game, despite all of that.
But even though, like, even if Finn isn't the center of attention in this comp, we do know he does a lot of the calling, especially for the team when it comes around team fights, looking for engages, those sorts of things. Especially around the Drake, oftentimes it is him looking for some kind of flank opportunity. He's the one choosing the target when they do decide to go ahead and make the call, so while he might not be making the flashy plays all the time, he is usually the one directing the crew when they are in a 5v5.
Talk's good. Important skill on Summoner's Rift. Reminder, again, we talk a lot about stakes for this game, but it's not just the teams playing here.
Yes. If you're a vegetarian, look away. So many stakes on the screen right now.
I'm looking at Ender with disdain. You can't see it at home. Winner of this game, of course, locks groups. The loser of this game then needs SK to lose later in the day to force a tiebreaker. And then, of course, if SK win, the loser of this game is eliminated. So if you lose, your control over your future is out of your hands. If SK pull out a Super Saiyan level performance today, the loser of this game will be out. But of course, we will not know until SK play later. For now, all you can do is keep your eyes on this matchup and know that the winner will lock groups. Dragging over to the side of Astralis.
1-on-3 has definitely been having the favor in this early game. For those off the early invade, just the Drake on a good timing there with the bot lane returning from KOI. He's able to secure that one. I think he's also just continued cycling through these Scuttle Crabs, so
Yeah.
can play towards that side if he so wants to. And for Malrang, it's really waiting until level 6 unless he can find something in mid, which actually looked like he was going for an attempt in mid lane. Leader was able to slide on out of it. And with his ultimate up, you can't look too far in mid lane, because there's a real world where even if Malrang hits level 6 and looks for that mid lane gank, Leader can just take Malrang under turret, then ult him, and yeah, you're feeling very foolish for going for that engage.
Create that distance. Interestingly, though, Malrang going for the first strike Vi. You know, it's not a rune I'm used to seeing, but you do a big chunk of damage.
That's true.
You will make some money.
Make some money. It's all about making that bag. And can you fault Malrang for getting his bag?
No, I can't.
So then why are you?
No, I'm not. Just,
Oh, okay, okay.
You hold on one second. The stats team has information for us. I'm going to relay with them.
Yep.
Tell us about this game.
I'll talk to you about the game. Two tanks in the top side, farming. Two mid laners in the mid lane, farming.
Malrang update in runes. You might be used to him from such iconic moments as taking whatever keystones he wants on Jarvan. This is the first time ever Vi has taken first strike in competitive play. So if you're in solo queue, take notes, folks. What notes you take will be decided later in the game, because so far it's been maybe uneventful. We can maybe check in on how much gold he's made off the rune. Information courtesy our stats team, of course. Thank you,
stats team.
Yep.
Always doing the work. Now, with bot lane Prio, Kobbe and JeongHoon actually both trying to move up here just to secure the Herald. Astralis have been all over these.
First? Nope.
Nope, he will be queuing away first before looking to strike another time.
All right, recall animation coming out. That'll keep the clone standing. Oh, now just kind of sliding and gliding. Here's Astralis going to commit 4 members to try to secure this first Herald. Malrang in the area, a lot of potential burst damage with Szygenda coming down. If they can just elite 1 member, the fight will go in their favor. But the threat of a reset from 113 is big. They're going to try to tear through this Renekton. Are they going to be able to fight? Larssen is there, knocked out of the fight. Larssen huge with that first blood. So far, a 1-for-1. 113 taking away the Renekton. The CC up and available.
Comp is almost here too. He's been sprinting out of the base forward.
Dash through, unstoppable. The Vi coming into the back line, looking to take Leader out, but Leader is still standing. 113 with the blinking health bar. Cannot find another reset. Comp doing so much damage.
Someone hit him!
Chakram. Can they finish the job? There's Malrang coming through. Might not need the first strike, but he got the last one for sure. Comp on cleanup duty as KOI take over.
KOI just tore Astralis apart. They upped into the 4-on-5. Comp was fully in base at the moment that fight started out for KOI, but the fact they trade 1-for-1, the Herald is still up on low HP, it entices Astralis to stick around. That's how Malrang sees that angle to catch out Leader. really, really nicely played from KOI. Playing on the edge there, even down a man.
Larssen on the side, obviously you highlighted at the start of the fight. You can see Astralis' plan. They burst down a single member. Maybe things can go a little bit better.
Look at this ulti though. Catching Leader there, catching JeongHoon for the kill as well. It's a lot of damage down. And even though Kobbe has green-white here, and it looks like they're favorable, Comp is on the way, and when this engage comes that catches out Leader, there's just nothing you can do. Leader has to escape, which means that it's literally just Kobbe left, and with him trying to run out, as long as they manage to kill 113 at the end, they end up winning out in the fight. Now, Herald was picked up by 113, so gold-wise, that should equalize slightly, but overall, definitely in the favor of KOI.
Well, and just look at the damage Delta champions in that last fight. Everyone from KOI getting their entire rotation out, where we're just seeing nothing there. 113 spent most of that fight after the initial burst onto Szygenda, running just to pick up the body, just to do nothing.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating fight for us.
I mean, Comp was the last one there, and he did the most damage. Like, it tells you enough of that, how that fight went. KOI just tactically went in for the first kill, and then we're able to find that refight. Actually, if I'm looking at top lane right now, it is a fake Vi that Larssen's transformed into. But I don't think he's fooling anyone. Nope. Usually Vi isn't your split pusher.
Could be. Original design intentions from...
Oh yeah, Vi, the top laner.
Yeah.
I almost forgot.
Hey, just gotta call it out. Originally supposed to be a top laner. Don't know how that would have worked. Haven't seen a lot of good Vi tops in my years of League of Legends. But Divine Sunderer coming in. I learned the other day we were having a debate about what Divine Sunderer actually is.
Okay.
Someone on the games team actually reached out to me. It's a polearm. It's a Shuriman weapon.
Oh, well, polearm is
Or
a
a
real
big
weapon
club.
too.
Yeah, okay. But as you highlighted earlier, crocodiles are different in Legend of Runeterra.
Right.
So it's not actually a real weapon too. Ender.
Okay,
Checkmate.
my bad, my
You like
bad.
that callback, Mr. Rules Lawyer?
Yeah, I love a good callback. I also love a good team fight. That's what we got on our screen right now.
It's not a team fight yet.
It's
4K.
about to be. This could be one of those Vedius flips he was talking about. KOI are really looking for it.
Both sides contesting the area. I think this is the second one. The first one definitely also flip. Okay, second one coming through. 2.5K getting lower. KOI clearly want the fight. Gonna try to burn through JeongHoon here at the start. 1-1-3 off to the side. Stun not even connect. Leader uncontested, but he doesn't do any damage. KOI get a free pick. 1-1-3 trying to walk in to steal that one away, but the knock up now unstoppable as he tries to retreat. Finn being sacrificed here in the exchange.
Just confusion in the Astralis camp. JeongHoon and Leader were separated from the team. JeongHoon thinks he has some sort of angle on the side here, but what is the rest of the team doing? They're just standing out of the way. Leader doesn't have the damage. You can see Kobbe was not in range to actually follow up initially and was worried about the channeling of the Viego from Malrang. So Kobbe can't go further in, otherwise he's going to get chain CC'd. Astralis just can't be looking to run face first at this comp of KOI, or they're just going to get instantly turned on.
And I feel like right now KOI have better engage tools, courtesy of the Sivir, you know, for the most part there, as well as the Vi reliability and
Better disengage tools?
Better disengage tools, because right now, you know, through no fault of Leader's own, although it has been a bit of a difficult early game here, he just isn't doing damage. You saw JeongHoon, you know, has Szygenda run into him full melee range. Leader gets 4 or 5 autos off. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, you're jumping onto a Renekton with Dominus. There's also a Lulu ult potentially in there, and then all of the other options in terms of CC to peel. It is just not going to go your way. Astralis need to be looking to play with numbers advantages if they're going to find fights or catch out KOI when they're split up.
Yeah.
That's what they need to fight off of, and that Herald is only going to find one turret plate, as a matter of fact. They've got 40 seconds to try and cash in a couple hundred gold, but I don't think the angle is actually going to be there for them.
Won't be able to find it quite yet.
And that was the Herald that happened when they gave up 3 kills to barely scrape away with. So we were hoping maybe that could be a little bit closer to even.
At least help equalize a little bit here as Kobbe's going to auto-attack the little spinning Neeko. I think it's definitely going to be a struggle here now at this stage of the game. Astralis by no means out of this game yet. The gold still close enough and scaling still the name of the game. The question for me now is KOI, how well can they execute this mid-game? How well can they play around the advantage that they have built for themselves?
Well, actually, because Comp canceled the base in bot side and Leader went through with the base in top side, I think some minions might end up getting denied from the tower. Szygenda actually just going to end up taking a base. So a few minions denied there. Maybe had the option to try and burst down that turret, but with the rest of the bot side of the map taking a reset, KOI are favoring resetting as a team. You see 3 players taking that base at the exact same time because they want to contest for the Herald that spawns at 15 minutes. So they're all going to sprint through mid lane, guarantee prio through there, move up into the top side, knock down that Herald. Probably also means a top lane turret for them as well, so they don't have to rush to it. Now that we're post 14 minutes, there's no real emphasis to take those outer turrets down quickly.
Yeah, you got really all the time in the world. More likely than not, they'll come as a result of someone contesting something else elsewhere and kind of a consolation prize or a trade back. Szygenda and Leader continue to trade on the top side of the map. Leader opting for Berserker's Greaves here for a bit of attack speed. See where he wants to take the itemization route next, as he may find himself in trouble. Malrang now walking in. Little Divine Sunderer auto is not going to follow up with the ultimate. 1-1-3 is on the way. Q out from Malrang to get away from the stun. And Szygenda, total control over the top side. Leader's going to have a hard time approaching this tower as Larssen's doing fine to match Finn on the bottom side of the map. Ulti now coming in. Finn unstoppable. He just brings the Neeko all back with him. Larssen on a killing spree. Just gets the solo 1v1.
Yeah, KOI are just winning in every lane. Prio in top side, Prio in mid, Malrang taking the Herald, and Larssen solo killing Finn. Finn clearly not comfortable or aware of the 1 versus 1, especially when Larssen's already big fed. That's a Azir teleport in. No ult on Larssen, but it's a 2-level disadvantage. No item on Leader. You're losing this fight.
I don't... Okay. Questionable. I guess didn't feel comfortable to TP back to topside to try to contest this tower, instead just wanting to hold on and catch the wave on bottom side. But again, massive experience discrepancy, gold discrepancy only continuing to stack, and this is a frustrating game for Astralis and Astralis fans alike.
And it feels like they're going to be on the back foot for a while now, because Malrang had the Herald, which means that they can use that Herald up in mid a little bit before this Drake ends up spawning. They're looking to set up a pick onto leader, although Malrang not quite in range when the actual minions were being killed there on the wave. So leader is able to clear that, walk up in towards the river. So Astralis will have vision inside the river for this Drake, but the Prio's not going to go their way. They're actually teleporting into mid. Finn realizes he needs to be here because they can't allow KOI to get in a position to use Herald. They have to have full push over this mid wave if they want to walk down.
Lucky JeongHoon going to get the summoner spell, but no real follow-up there. Now moving back down. I mean, this grouping really trying to force something here. I think hoping to force KOI into making a mistake, catch them out on the rotation potentially, but the vision here from KOI is good.
But they're also just a little early. It's 10 seconds away, so waves are going to be back in mid, and now they're not going to have a chance to have that full prio. So with Herald going down in mid, they're full gambling everything on this Drake. They desperately want the team fight. They're going to lose one, maybe two turrets in mid lane while it's going down.
Larssen TPing down, can pitch for the flank, has the proto belt, is a minion. Larssen looking to secure groups as a melee minion. From Larssen on the flank, knocked back. Astralis' hopes torn to pieces with a single press of his R button. KOI dominating, and again, Astralis are just running out of time.
Oh no! Kobbe comes flying in on the Gigacone, takes the kill, and what a way to achieve 1,000 kills in the LEC from Larssen. That Neeko ult was dirty, catches 4 players, lights out.
Moment. I mean, Larssen doing fantastic on the champion thus far, finding the solo kill, finding the big ults, 4-0-5 the scoreline, and across the board, KOI stomping Astralis. This is now what, again, the desk talked about consistency. Both of these teams have shown high highs in certain moments, but KOI coming out in force today, looking unstoppable. Finn going to be unstoppable here in a moment if they do want to try and force the play. And Astralis, the only way you get out of this deficit is if you just keep forcing, I feel. Maybe, I guess, I take that back. I'm used to saying that for Astralis, but I'm not also used to seeing them draft Aphelios.
Yeah, they have Aphelios this year.
They can scale.
The thing is, that Sivir also scales well. She doesn't have the range necessarily to compete. Does so much. That ulti is gross. Oh, that would have been 5 players if, you know, K'Sante wasn't ridiculously unfair. K'Sante was hit by it, just wasn't actually knocked up. It was a 5-man ult. That was very, very nicely done. Missed that initially because of the unstoppable, but well played, Larssen. And if there's any play you can point to in this game that would lock KOI into groups, it is that right there for him. What an advantage. 6k gold, double Drakes off of that. You're just blitzing towards that second item, Rabadons.
It's 19 minutes and they're 7k ahead.
Yeah.
It's going to take a miracle or 50 minutes of scaling for Astralis to find a way back in. Maybe more like 20 minutes of scaling. This is incredibly one-sided. 20-minute Baron is an option for KOI. If they want to try and force it, it's still a risk.
They just really want any excuse I think they can fight now. Well, especially when it's on sort of an item mismatch. They have 2 completed items in bot lane. Once that Rabadons comes up for Larssen, it's going to be super, super happy times for them. And well, Astralis, what do they have to do? Well, they have to sack prio in lanes to group up and see if they can force anything. Finn has to then walk back down to bot side. So they have these very narrow windows in which they can actually attempt anything. But what this also means is that 1-3, who had such a fantastic early game from the tracking of Malrang, the camps being stolen, he's going to get started out his jungle and his top lane's getting dove.
Leader pushback is not going to do anything against an unstoppable Vi. Malrang now on a killing spree. Bringing in that first strike money like nobody's business. And there's not a lot else to say, to be honest. I mean, Astralis, you're going to fish back what you can, but you don't even really have a pressure point on the map to make a play in exchange. KOI get that kill for free, they get that pick for free. And now Astralis have to
come fight us.
Fight a 4v4, take the 4v4 immediately, but the TP now coming out, flash out to safety from JeongHoon.
Leader does have TP when he spawns, so they can have a chance to contest, but all KOI want to do is turn and burn off this Baron.
Should be able to get it. 1-1-3 looking for a very long angle here.
That is an obtuse angle if I've ever seen one.
Those are the big ones for those of you who have been
little math joke for you. geometry. And, well, KOI didn't exactly get the fight they wanted, but they were able to eat the TP off of leader. Not that that TP, I think, is going to mean much of anything.
But it's a small advantage, and it gives them the opportunity to try to force the setup again with a slightly more favored attempt. The question at this point is, between the Dragons and the Herald, with Baron up there, I think if there's one more absolutely chaotic fight, then we are at 4 50-50s. And Vedi will have predicted correctly. But if there's any... Currently, we're less. So right now, he is losing. He's going to get tased for sure. Any more, he'd also get tased. It's not tased, it's like muscle thingy, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a constant thing.
It sounds cooler when I say tased.
Yeah. Tased does sound cool.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
It's a production value thing. We'll get...
You get statically shivved. I think that's what... Yeah. We can get on board with that.
IRL shivved.
Now, well, that's different thing. Completely different thing. We're going to lean on the static element of it. Yeah. That'll be good. Now, Larssen does have the Rabadons finished. Yay, good job, Larssen.
He's
that
just
means
so fed.
He's so fed. He's up 2.5k. Also, when you get an early Rabadons too, it just makes every time you go back to base, it's just better. Like up in the AP ramp.
Finn's gonna be in trouble here on the hunt now. Burned. He's not in trouble. A little over-aggressive there. Larssen can 2v1 those champions. Can't 3v1 though, as we have a bit of the split cam here, courtesy of our observers, as we see Leader look to get these objective bounties. It's still almost a 10k gold lead in favor of KOI, but Astralis are going to look to bring things at least a little back towards their favor. Not in their favor, but towards it.
Leader has so much attack speed. Zerkers plus the Nashers. He's just zipping down that turret.
Yep.
Honestly, I think the best play for Astralis might be to go for another one when this Drake spawns, but...
They can kill Baron pretty quick.
Yeah.
If they just flip it. Putting us at exactly 4 flips, which would mean Guldborg would get.
Either way, we're winning, it sounds
like.
like.
We win. The audience wins, the people at home win.
I mean, the way KOI is playing now is so annoying. Like, they're not even like grouping on one side of the map. They're making sure like Astralis can't threaten anything on the opposite side.
Annoying for Astralis, but I mean, from KOI, diligent.
Oh, for sure.
Laying down vision line on the bottom side before you set up the objective, taking the objective. It's clean. It's super controlled from KOI. Comp even has the time to, kind of BM his laners there, cancel the recall.
Just got trolled. Oh, no.
Now they wait. How long do they wait, though? Not very long.
I feel like at some point, it's like KOI have been so present in your side of the jungle for so long on the map. If for some reason they don't show up for a minute, you're like, hold on a second.
They're in a bush and you just wait.
Yeah. And you farm. That's exactly what Astralis want. KOI, not gonna let that happen. I think it's Baron time.
Definitely try and force Sweeper. Not gonna catch that ward. Advienne will be forced to use a charge of his own.
Oh.
Malrang.
And they spot it.
No. 1-1-3 has to be careful.
Oh, Malrang and Szygenda are going to team up for a double flank.
Knocking the jungler down, at least looking to try to take him out. JeongHoon finding the hook onto Szygenda, not a priority target, but right now, Leader uncontested doing damage. TP flank now coming in, could be big. 1-1-3 ulting out to safety. A lot of damage down on the KOI. Finn trying to be the difference maker. Kobbe untouched. Red, white looking to make the fight happen. 1-1-3 finding the reset. KOI, they were in control for so long, but they overcommit and they lose one.
KOI mid-game strikes again. 24 minutes on the clock, and they put a 4v5 there. Larssen was not a part of the fight. He was trying to farm in top lane, and he eventually teleported in, but they'd already lost so much HP just diving straight into an Aphelios Azir. We were joking about it a couple of minutes ago, but you don't want that to happen. The Vi on your mini-map is Larssen up on the top side, and yes, they have some burst on 1-on-3, but Comp can't reach it. Comp needs targets to actually hit. He's very limited on range. He needs a front line to get those ricochets going off of, so Kobbe remains completely untouched, can just swat down the double dive coming in from KOI. And by the time Larssen is even in the fight, there's just no actual opportunity for him to come around on a flank with a flash, or the Proto Belt still has no chance to enter.
And can we take a look at the damage from that fight, if possible, team? I know the time window might have passed, but I'm just curious to see what Kobbe's damage output is looking like, because to me right now, with how far behind Leader is, Kobbe feels like the scaling element that can carry you further into the game. Obviously, Comp 3 items on the opposite side. KOI in an equal team fight, still very heavily favored, but credit to Astralis for navigating that one, able to find the kill onto Malrang. Carry's still wildly far ahead, though. Still incredibly difficult for Astralis. Still need more time, still need more items, but what was once almost a 10k gold lead is now getting a little bit smaller.
The minions coming back in the flank.
Spot it now. JeongHoon knocked up. That's going to be the root over the wall. 1-1-3 on the retreat. That's support down. Quick pick for KOI. Is it enough for them to start the Baron?
That's the right idea from KOI, though. Now with the numbers advantage, much harder for Astralis to re-clear vision. Finn taking some chunk down, too. Any damage you get down onto the Astralis front line is meaningful. Still, opportunity to flip. Coming in from the red side, 1-on-3 can jump over that wall for the smite steal, but it's going to be hard to maintain vision inside of the pit.
Fourth flip the game. Will they go for it, Astralis? So difficult to find this angle. You can see in the darkness.
Soldiers down, vision lost.
Larssen over the wall again! Finding a massive angle, but this time Leader disengages, but no, Comp leaps into the backline. He takes out Kobbe, he takes out both carries on the side of Astralis. KOI set to take the Baron. They'll finish off the remaining members of the enemy team as 1-1-3 desperately tries to take Larssen back. He gets the reset, coming over the wall now. Can he make it to safety? He cannot. JeongHoon coming in. He's got no spellbook, so there's no way he can take a smite. There's no way he can find a steal here. Objective will drop in the favor of KOI. Beautiful flank coming in from Larssen. They don't want to risk anything. They take their time, they wait for the kill, they finish the job, they get the Baron.
Larssen is unleashed on this Neeko pick. My God, that's 2 insane ultimates he's been able to find. First one caught 5 in that fight, I think 3 or 4 just in that tight choke point. He had looked for this flank just a few seconds before. That's how he caught out the Nautilus. Goes for it again with the ulti over the wall. And yeah, 3 players that might have even caught Finn there too on just the edge. And so much damage.
Not just credit to Larssen because the flank was spotted, credit to the rest of KOI for collapsing at the same time so that there was no avenue of escape. So the only option was to walk into that Larssen flank and pray. 1-1-3 does what he can. He gets a huge shutdown, 800 gold, but giving up the Baron feels like the final nail on the coffin.
Oh yeah, I mean, all the pathing of KOI there was to sort of force Astralis up into that pinch, up into that Neeko. That's almost 4K damage on the Neeko.
And both carries on the side of KOI deleted so incredibly quickly that they did less than 500 apiece in terms of damage, but now trying to force the play again. Malrang locked up, Chain CC coming through, Kobbe over the wall. But now here comes Comp on the hunt, most certainly. Finding 2, finding 3.
He's going!
He's still chasing. He wants a few more. Finn trying to turn it back, but the wild growth is there. The Azir tower. Comp going gold, and Finn desperate to get anything back, but now Kobbe needs to run for the hills. Here comes Larssen. Here comes KOI, determined to secure their spot in groups as they push aside Astralis.
You can't forget about Comp Sivir, was looking for a 5th pentakill all time on that one. But KOI will destroy Astralis. The Neeko coming in clutch, that's gonna finish off the game as Comp goes legendary. And KOI do advance the group stage.
Another double for Comp. You said it, KOI advancing to the group stage. Astralis will have to hope that SK cannot find a win and pray for a tiebreaker later in the day. KOI, number 7 to lock the group stage. And I gotta say, we heard from the desk, you know, you wanting to see more for both of these teams, wanting to see some more confidence-inspiring performances, and that was what we saw from KOI. That was dominant. The Sivir coming out, a curveball I did not expect. I'm still, I will say, not sold on first strike buy.
No.
Don't know if that was a part of the winning formula, but it was a part of it in some capacity.
Look, it was next to the Neeko, and anything that stood next to the Neeko in that game
Looked
was
good.
either going to die instantly if it was on the other team, or, as you said, look very, very good if it was on the side of that Neeko. Just insane play from Larssen. That first ult around the Dragon Pit blew my freaking mind. KOI's objective fights that game were impeccable.
Absolutely. KOI, it's well-deserved praise. Szygenda, big old smile on his face, you can see, as he walks by. And for Astralis, this is where that anxiety sets in, man. This is soul crush. This is such a rough position to be in. Obviously, you want to win that game, you want to lock in, but now your fate is not even in your own hands. You pray that this is the worst day for SK ever if you're an Astralis fan.
It's the quickest turnaround from being a pro player to being a super fan, right? You know, hoping your team wins so that you can avoid that one with SK taking their spot. Your player of the game options are Comp, Larssen, and Advienne here. And, well, Comp finished off the game on a very strong note. If you are not voting Larssen, you were not watching that game.
True. Do like the Sivir, though. Hope we get to see it more, especially with some of the other priority champions getting hit on the patches to come.
Fan of the new splash art, too.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Look good. Overall, though, you've heard enough from us. Let's send it over to the
That's
victorious Sivir master himself, Comp, standing by with trouble.
Thank you very much, Drakos, the Sivir master himself. Comp, congratulations on locking groups.
Thank you.
I said congratulations to you when you joined me here, and you kind of have like a, not even a sigh of relief face, more like a disappointed face.
Yeah,
Why?
for sure. I'm just not very happy with how, in general, the split has been. I mean, the whole year, kinda, so... Yeah, not to be proud so far, but top 8 is for sure something nice.
Hey, you should be proud because you made groups, and that was a great Sivir performance. Now, where did you get that champion out of?
I just know whenever I play this champ, it's kind of a free win. I remember like the last game I lost with this champ was versus G2, last split, when we lost 2-1. But even that game, I'm pretty sure if early game had been better, I would probably 1v9, like always.
So that game obviously was make or break. You guys don't make that. You probably have to play a tiebreaker. You have to rely on other teams not winning. So did everyone just pick their comfort champion for this particular game, or was it just you?
I mean, I just knew that so far this split I've been playing a lot of Aphelios, and I think in general my Aphelios is good, but on these games that I have played so far, he hasn't been looking the best, right? And I think I'm just a really good player when I have agency on my own, when I play champs like ADC Sivir, maybe Ezreal, stuff like this. So I just knew, especially because Astralis really like to dive in and kill enemy carries, I would feel way safer protecting myself today.
Okay, so Kobbe, every time I talk to you, you're always so critical of yourself and your performance. What do you need to do better moving on to groups and best-ofs?
We definitely need to do better, yeah. As I said, like right now, there is definitely like
for yourself?
Yeah, for myself, for sure. I think, like I always feel bad whenever I'm not playing my best, right? And I think this split for sure has been inconsistent. So yeah, I will up my game for the best of 3.
You know who's looking forward to see you play even better than what you've set your bar?
Who?
The Greek community who's always behind you, Kobbe. Would you like to send them a message?
Σε ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ για την υποστήριξη. Σχέδιο top 8 μπήκαμε πάλι καλά και ας δούμε πώς θα πάει από εδώ και πέρα.
Even though I didn't understand most of what you said, he said thank you very much for always being behind him, guys, and he's unlocked something for top 8. We hope to see that come to fruition. Thank you very much, Kobbe. Congratulations on locking in. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. We're going to throw it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Trouble, and welcome everyone to the Analyst Desk, where I'm joined by Guldborg here at the Telestrator. Congratulations once again to KOI. They have secured themselves a position in group stage. And we wanted to focus a little bit on Larssen in this segment because that man absolutely popped off. In the pre-match, we talked about how he had become one of the consistent elements of KOI, and I think today really demonstrated how he can turn that consistency into a massive carry.
Oh, for sure, and I think KOI specifically around the neutral objectives, which before coming into the matchup was something we were actually highlighting as a bit of a weakness actually for them in some of the more recent games, was something we didn't really see today. Yes, some of it is Astralis stepping up as they are, but a lot of it also comes down to Larssen's ability actually to play the Neeko. Thank you for bringing that over here.
So I'm going to give you the play pause function.
I actually don't know if it works. Yeah, I don't think it does, Vedi.
Okay, well,
I appreciate the sentiment.
Then you can ignore the play pause function. Instead, we're just going to be able to make sure, can I draw on this as well? That I certainly can. So thank you very much, production, for being able to play for us as well. But yeah, we wanted to highlight how Larssen was actually setting up a lot of his ultimates and how he was using the Neeko, because there have not been a lot of good Neekos in Europe.
No.
The win rate is not a pretty one. So we actually wanted to demonstrate what a really impressive Neeko performance can look like. So let's start off by using this first clip.
Yeah, I think what's really pivotal here is actually that even though they're 4 versus 5, you can see KOI is actually still having calmed down in the base. Larssen has already disguised himself. There's no vision around where he's coming from. And once again, when you're in your clone form as Neeko, your ultimate animation doesn't actually show itself to the enemy team. So as we roll out the clip here, you can see that some of Astralis will actually sense what's coming in here. They see 2 Vi's, one of them already queued. They know the next one is the Neeko, but once again, old animation not visible to the enemy. So the time Astralis already find themselves in this position, Larssen already has the perfect flank.
Yeah, he certainly does. And I mean, this initial play, of course, did go the way of, well, in terms of kills, it definitely started off in favor of KOI, even though Astralis walked away with the Herald. But it turned at this point, like, we weren't really convinced that this was really anyone's game to win or lose. This was still a relatively even state, thanks to the fact that Astralis did secure that Herald. So let's already jump over to the next clip so that we can highlight this incredibly impressive setup by Larssen, where he just found an incredible flank.
And it's not like you see a minion coming into River. You know it's the Neeko, but it's still, once again, the fact that you have to have that muscle memory when you're playing against Neeko, when that ultimate is coming in, when he's finally coming through. But it's Larssen, once again, finding himself in a position where he can come from the flank.
Yeah, by starting off on the bot side of the map. Do you remember if he actually TP'd to the bot lane first?
No, I do not.
Because I remember seeing that TP usage, and by setting up this flank, he basically created a window where Astralis were pincered into this river, right? And it all comes down to how you actually play these neutral objectives. Let's actually start by rolling out this play, because Astralis, the front to back, the casters are talking about it. It's such a difficult one to play, especially when this Neeko finds the flank. It makes it so easy to chain CC onto the AD carry, and Kobbe never even got to play the game.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, you can even see Kobbe trying to flash Gate Force away from there to actually see if he can come out of it, but I think this was really the big one. Once again, he's always away from his team. He's always looking for a flank. Even when he's spotted, it's still the fact that he's in disguise and you're not really sure. And in this flank specifically, where the rest of his team is actually with the champions, they have also in a position to come over with a follow-up once he see the possibility to go in, that the fight is already sealed before it's begun.
I think what's interesting about this play is I kind of wish we could have gone back a little bit more, because the actual start of this play from Larssen, oh, actually, yeah, if we could roll back a little, oh, never mind, we can't, but that's fine. What I think was really great was the way that they started off the Baron initially. Like, you can see that the Baron's already at half HP, right? At this point, you're concerned that this collapse from Astralis, we were like, oh, is this the flip? Is this the, oh no, what's gonna happen? But Larssen made his way from the Baron all the way around, actually came through the tri-bush, and even though he does in fact get spotted on this ward, right, it doesn't matter, because they've already tunneled themselves into this position that their escape routes are either down or up, which aren't really optimal in either direction, because then it makes it harder to actually contest this Baron. So as we roll out the clip, and we may even get to see a bit of Astralis' vision. Look, you'll see he does get spotted out. They tried to retreat, but because of the positioning of Comp and the fact that KOI go over the wall as well, the collapse is just monstrous, and there's really no other way for Astralis to get out of this situation.
And I think, once again, the team fighting for KOI here was just spot on. It had been such a weakness for them, especially in some of their games this week, where it just felt like no one was really on the same page. That wasn't the case for this game whatsoever. It felt like they had a plan when they came into it, and that's one of the reasons why the game was looking so good. And Larssen specifically, we've been talking about him, he had a really good game.
Yeah, he certainly did. 100% kill participation. He acquired his 1,000th LEC kill.
God damn.
Very impressive stat, considering his veterancy. The man kind of, I think it's fair to say that he, Humanoid, and Caps kind of sat for a long time at the top of the LEC table, where he would often have to fight with those two to try and secure that top position. I think based when we look at this entire split, he's still going to have a tough road ahead of him to overthrow those two, given their current level of play. But if we continue to see performances like this, it does seem that the top three mids are back to the top three.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. And even sadly in the interview before as well, Comp was very disappointed with the split they had. But I feel like if this is the last game of regular season you have before going into the group stages, this is probably one of the best games we've seen from KOI, and this creates a better foundation for you to build on. Because if this is what you can continue to replicate, not just from Larssen, but from the entirety of the team, then there's certainly hope for KOI, who, well, not historically speaking, but recently speaking in a new split format, has struggled in regular season, but shown better performances in group stage.
For sure. Well, KOI, they will have an opportunity to play in the best of threes in our group stages. But up next, we're going to have Team Heretics versus G2. So we're going to go for a break, but we'll see you right after this.
I'm looking Viego. Viego door.
Okay, maybe this guy. Nice one.
On the bottom side of the map. Uh-oh. Ulti now coming in. Finn unstoppable. He just brings the Neeko all back with him.
Look at me, guys. Look at me. Look at me.
Yeah.
I wanna go. Okay, okay.
Larssen looking to secure groups as a melee minute. He might do it. 1-0 from Larssen on the flank.
He's going to get started out his jungle, and his top lane's getting dove.
Leader pushback is not going to do anything.
I'm going one back. Bye. Look bye. Bye.
But now trying to force the play again. Malrang locked up. Chain CC coming through. Kobbe over the wall. But now here comes Comp on the hunt, most certainly.